Welcome back, Mando.
Ho. Greetings, Bucketheads. Mavar Tagar. Welcome to our 391st audaciously, awesomely animated episode of MandoVision. I am your host, Nargai Tom, and thank you so much for checking out this small, independent Star Wars podcast. We are so glad that you're here with us. You know what to do. Reach out to us on the socials, Mando_Vision on X and Insta MandoVision at Blue Sky. You can email me, MandoVisionTom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. All right, Bucketheads, we're back as promised to wrap up our sort of review of Star Wars Visions Presents The Ninth Jedi. I almost said The Last Jedi yet again. I keep doing that, and I don't know. I guess practice makes perfect, right? So we are here to discuss those final 4 episodes in the season. And I'm excited to do so because, when I last was here with you all, I was in a rough place. The most recent episode of Star Wars Droids that we had done, it's the cracks in my sanity began to show. And I apologize because I was unable to give that review everything I had because that episode was beginning to steal my soul, and I needed something to palate cleanse, a nice wafer across the tongue to soak up the bad juju from watching Droids, and I think we got it. So here on the episode today, yes, we will be talking about episodes 5 through 8 of Star Wars Visions Presents the Ninth Jedi. And much like our first 4 episodes, we'll get into some specifics. I'll try to avoid too much majory spoiler stuff, but there will be some. It's just unavoidable. But we're going to do our best to kind of keep it clean for you guys who want to go into it kind of clean. Well, you know what? We're not. You know what? If you want to go in clean, listen to this after you've watched the series. What I will say before we really dive into it is, if Visions wasn't your cup of tea to begin with, I don't know if the Ninth Jedi will change your mind. If you are not, or at least have some sort of level of awareness or understanding of anime, I don't know how much this show is going to do for you as a Star Wars fan. However, if you do like anime and you do have a good foundation of understanding anime and the way it sort of works, and some of the sort of tropes of anime, I think you're going to be okay, and I think you'll enjoy this series by and large. So yeah, we have that to look forward to. And we're gonna do what we normally do, which is sort of like read off the amazing people behind the scenes who helped bring the show together. However, I did want to mention too that there's going to be a little bit of extra content in this episode, because while I had originally planned to talk about these on a Bantha Tracks bonus show, it just sort of seemed to make some sense to talk about a couple of other pieces of animation that I've been watching over the last couple of weeks, and that would be X-Men 97 Season 2. And Season 2 of Batman the Caped Crusader. So if you're only here for the Star Wars content, after the Ninth Jedi, you can click off, and thank you for listening as far as you did. But if you want to hear me talk a little bit about those 2 pieces of animated superhero stuff, by all means, that'll be the second half of this episode. Not for like a huge length of time, because I'm going to try and keep that kind of a clean review. Just going to talk about it in broad strokes, some of the things. But again, if you don't want to know anything because you're planning on binging it down the road, hold off. Listen to me talk about them later. All right, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Ninth Jedi. You know, we talked a little bit about the let's just do the voice cast. I think that's going to be the most important aspect of it. We have Kamiko Glenn as Kara, Masioka as Ethan, Simu Liu as Zazima, Keon Young, Chase Sue Wonders, Andrew Kashino, Patrick Size, Fedor Chen, Neil Kaplan, Perry Shan, and Alan Lee, Ben Diskin, Corey Lee, Zion Yang. Just a bevy of voice work done in this show. And I think they all kind of kill it, to be perfectly honest with you. Again, an 8-episode series. They all dropped back at the beginning of the month. So you have plenty of chances to go and rewatch this. And our review actually picked a really good spot to stop. Episode 4 ends in a really good place for a little pause in the series and for purposes of this podcast, because episode 5 kicks off and we have a little bit of a time jump. We go 6 months after that Nawam Attacks episode. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it. You know what that means. It's time. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
Get out of here. We'll hold them off.
You're going to have to relocate the covert.
This is the way.
This is the way.
All right. So the 4 episodes that make up this section of the show are episode 5 is The Storm of Violence. Episode 6, Light of the Force. Episode 7, The Jedi Strike Back. And episode 8, The Ninth Jedi. And as you may recall, after episode 4, our heroes, the pending new Jedi Order, are on the ropes. Nawam has attacked. Things are looking bad. Jiro has been killed. Lazima's still nowhere to be found. And Kara is beginning to spiral as her faith has sort of been shaken by all these things. And there is something to be said. We talked a lot about how in this series the lightsaber and the kyber crystals are reactive to sort of like your emotional state, right? Like when you go to the dark side, you may have started with a green lightsaber, but you, by your actions and your state of mind, that color can change based on everything that you've been doing. So it's an interesting storytelling device, especially in this 5th episode where, the Jedi are trying to rally, but Kara has gone off on her own. She's sort of in hiding as she sort of deals with the loss of Jiro. And so she's on this planet with a primitive species, if you will, kind of hiding out. She's still the guardian of these lightsabers. But people are still looking for her. Nawam's still looking for her. The Jedi Hunters are out there. And the Jedi Hunters play a really nice part, I think, in this chunk of episodes. I think they are some visually interesting characters. And I was sort of delighted by the track they took in Kara's journey here over the next 2 episodes. And what I mean by that is, Narwham's empire shows up on this planet. They're trying to lure out Kara, and they're going to do what they do, which is bad Imperial things, right? So they're going to lay siege to the planet, orbital bombardments, things like that. And these things begin to enrage Kara. And, she is a character who doesn't have balance yet, right? Like all the Jedi in the show, Nawam is sort of like this cold and stoic figure. He's not Jedi, he's not Sith. He's sort of figured out this balance between the two that he believes makes him sort of the ultimate of both. Meanwhile, we have the one Sith character who's like more cyborg than man, and then Lajima as sort of the one who made the mistakes, but has also figured out sort of like the balance to be of the better Jedi. But Kara, she's inexperienced. She's reeling. She's lost someone close to her, and she lets her emotions control her. And that's what episode 5 is really all about, is sort of seeing that downward spiral of and how easy it is, what a razor's edge it is to go from protecting people to just being a killer. And the great moment is at the end of the episode, after she's like single-handedly brought down like Nawam's equivalent of a Star Destroyer, single-handedly, and the natives are sort of like in fear of her, and one of the native local children points to Kara, to her lightsaber, and how it's changed, and the revelation of when she looks down and sees that it's become, blood red, is quite a good moment, because I think as we watch that scene unfold, as we watch Kara sort of unleash her fury on these Imperials, we have to be thinking to ourselves, like, well, this can't be good for anybody. This isn't very Jedi-like, is it? Yeah, it's sweet. It's like pure, unadulterated vengeance. But this isn't the way of the Jedi. So Kara's revelation at that is a stark way to end that episode. And then, of course, we open the next episode with her on the run. The natives have been taken prisoner by the Jedi Hunters. The Jedi Hunters are using the natives to sort of lure out Kara, and it's eventually what happens when she realizes that the natives have been taken prisoner. She kind of willingly becomes a prisoner, turns herself over to the Jedi Hunters, which they find disappointing. They really were hoping to fight a Jedi. And again, everything sort of moves beat by beat, right? Eventually, Kara is going to be visited by the Force Ghost of Jiro, who's going to help her on her path to controlling those emotions, to getting back on track. And it's a great scene because she's skirting off against one of these Jedi Hunters in sort of like a fog of war. And there's blasters coming out from all sides, and she's holding her own until she's able to achieve that state of balance and emotional clarity, in which she's able to then combat in a Jedi fashion and show the Jedi Hunters her skill at anticipating and beating their little tricks. It's a great sequence. I really, really enjoyed it. Meanwhile, Lajima and the other Jedi are trying to figure out Narwhal's plans, and everything goes back to the first installment of Visions, right? We're going to go back to that temple that's shaped like a lightsaber above the planet where we found Lajima and Kara back when all this started. Because Narwhal wants that Kyber crystal for his Kyber crystal cannon. Except Lajima knows that crystal is way too powerful. It'll blow a hole in the galaxy, basically, if Narwhal were to try and tap into its powers. Because it is just too much. Too much. So eventually everyone reunites at that temple. We get into a big fight. One of the Jedi Hunters is now working for Kara. She has made his life hers. His life hers? Yeah, something like that, because she spared his life. So now his life is in her hands, and he sort of works for her. And we get what I think is a very satisfactory Jedi conclusion to the episode. We get space battles. We get lightsaber combat. We get all the stuff. We get silver lightsabers. All the things that the mythology that this series has sort of been building up kind of plays out in what I thought was a really interesting fashion, and I thought was a lot of fun and a pretty easy watch. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm going to give the series. I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it. I kind of want to give it 8. I think 8's a smidge high. It's maybe like 7.5 buckets though, but you could talk me into 8. In the right moments. It hits enough of the right notes for me. It's very familiar with a lot of its Star Wars elements. It's very familiar with a lot of its anime elements. I think it balances the two really, really well. I enjoyed the animation. I enjoyed the way they used the computer graphics in there, and I thought they wove a very interesting mythology for themselves that was similar yet different enough from Star Wars to kind of stand on its own and be its own thing without having to get elicit too much comparison to any other Star Wars that kind of came before it. So yeah, I'm in that 7.5 to 8 bucket range on this one. I do think it's worth checking out. I do think you'll like it. It's 8 episodes. They're about half hour a pop, so you're not in for a huge commitment. But I think you'll have a good time. I do. Yeah, so please check it out. But again, one caveat, one asterisk on there. If you're not into anime, I don't think this is going to change your mind. and I feel like it would probably taint the way you're watching the series to begin with. So if it's already on your skip list, I don't know if I can persuade you to give it a shot. But if you do and you have an open mind, I think you might have some fun. So that's what I'm going to say about that. All right, now we're to the second half of the show, where we're going to talk about some other animated series. And again, if you're only here for the Star Wars content, this is where you probably can depart if you so choose to. But if you want to stick around, again, just broad strokes here. I'm not going to get into too many hyper specifics on either one of these animated series. But yeah, we are going to talk about, first up is season 2 of X-Men 97. And I will be perfectly honest with you guys. When, several years ago when they announced that the X-Men cartoon was coming back as a special on Disney Plus, I was sort of like intrigued, but in a cautiously optimistic sort of way. I loved that X-Men series for about 3.5 to 4 seasons. I don't even recall what happened in season 5 of that show way back when. Now, granted, I could go back on Disney Plus and watch that now, but I probably won't. So I was like, okay, cool. That'd be a fun little trip down nostalgia lane. And then I watched X-Men 97 season 1, and it surpassed every expectation I could have possibly had for a show. It was amazing. It was intense. It was utterly satisfying. If you have listened to any other podcasts that I've done in the past, I usually get onto a bit of an X-Men tirade at some point on a show that I'm on, and I'll try to do the condensed version right here. My problem with the X-Men comics since the end of the 90s, basically, is that it was always, and even during the 90s, I'll be perfectly blunt, but even during the 90s, it was too much. It was too sprawling. It was too many books. It was too many characters. It was too much, and it was spread out, and it was spread thin. And after many years of buying X-Men and X-Force and X-Factor and all the other X books they could possibly think of, I reached a breaking point, and I just said no more. I just said no more. I'm done. I'm so done. And what's great about this series is that it's all those things, but it's distilled, it's concentrated, it's boiled down. It is it is a deglazed pan of all the good bits of X-Men into one thing. So it's very easy to watch and to get all the right notes really, really quickly. Again, I was blown away with season 1. I thought they had very, very big boots to fill for season 2. And by and large, that is accurate. I think season 2 is really, really good. It is not as good as season 1, but it's still very, very good. I think the first half of this season is stronger than the back half of this season. They make a choice in the second half of this season that is good and fun on an emotional level, but I don't know if it makes a ton of sense in the grand scheme of things. There is a character resurrection, and I don't know if because of that resurrection, if his power set changes because of it, but he all of a sudden he had powers that I didn't quite understand. And that's not to say that the show's not fun, because again, I think it hits all the right emotional beats. There is a choice made in the final episode that will haunt me, and I think that's what they intended to do. A character makes a choice, makes a decision that bummed me out in a very selfish way. But by and large, it's a good time. Also, interestingly enough, Wolverine takes a very big back seat in this season. He's barely in it. He has one episode, again, which is a very good episode because it's Weapon X and it has the Brood, and it's got all the things, all the Weapon X, all the weapon people involved in it, Maverick and Kane and all of them. It's a really good episode, and again, it's the Brood, so it's fun. It has like all that fun space jingly element to it. But yeah, Wolverine. If you're a Wolverine fan, you're not gonna get a lot of Wolverine in the show. If you like Cable and X-Force, though, you're gonna like this show. If you like Havoc and Polaris and X-Factor, you're going to like this show. And if I were to give you one little bit of free advice, don't skip the opening. You think you've seen it before? Watch every episode's opening is a little bit different, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, especially that first one. I think it was in episode 3 or 4 when they do like the big change to it, and it was awesome. It was awesome. It hit all the right notes on that point. So again, I think season 1 of X-Men 97 was like a 9, probably 9 buckets. This is a solid 8. It doesn't hit quite the same way. It's not quite as impactful, but I dug it. And I'm excited to see what they do in season 3. Again, they had really lofty aspirations to try and meet after that amazing first season. And while they didn't quite soar to the same heights, they get close. They get close. All right, and the third animated series I wanted to talk to you guys about today is a show that I think is kind of flying under the radar. Because I don't know, not a lot of people talk about. I feel like not a lot of people talk about shows on Amazon Prime, and there's so much stuff on Amazon Prime that I feel like maybe this one's getting a little bit lost. But last year they did a new Batman: The Caped Crusader animated series. It was originally being developed to be on HBO Max under that DCU banner that they were having at the time, and then they sort of scrapped it. And Amazon swooped in and was like, well, we'll take a Batman cartoon. It's being done by Bruce Timm, the architect of, in my opinion, one of the greatest animated series ever made, possibly the gold standard for any superhero animated series. The Batman animated series from 94 was a revelation. It was amazing animation, amazing storytelling. It showed us Batman's villains in a way that I had never really thought about them before, as like these sort of like these sad, tragic characters. And the way Batman has to sort of deal with them, but also show some sort of humanity towards them at the same time. It was an excellent, well thought out, well constructed series. So they get Bruce Timm to come back, and Bruce Timm has an idea for a very different Batman the animated series. Yes, the animation is familiar to what we know from the 90s series. However, we're making a big change. We are doing an analog Batman. We are doing a Batman from the late 30s, early 40s. More emphasis on the detective, less emphasis on the super fantastic, comic booky elements of the character in his rogues gallery. Season 1 was really, really good. I enjoyed the heck out of it. It's very, week by week, episode by episode procedural, a couple of overarching sort of narratives, but nothing big. Very much like this week's villain is, and Batman deals with it. Next week's villain is, and Batman deals with it. But we're introduced to the rogues gallery in a very different fashion. And again, much like Batman himself, who has sort of been stripped down, doesn't have computers, has a little bit of tech, but like not much. Something, things that are like maybe doable for that time period. But it's a very grounded take on the character and his rogues gallery. So again, a lot of those comic book elements are out the window. Nothing super fantastical, and it's really, really enjoyable. That first season, I highly recommend. Season 2, they up the ante, where it's still episode by episode. There's a different thing occurring in each episode, but there's these overarching narratives, right? Like everything going on with Thorn and his gang, Thorn in prison, Edward Nygma taking over his gang, but not the Riddler that you think of. A very different take on the Riddler. But what's going on in the background, what they sort of were teasing at the very end of season 1, and what they continue to tease through season 2, is what we all always want from a Batman series: the inevitable confrontation with the Joker. And I thought they did this so well. They teased this out so remarkably well. Every episode, just a little nugget, a little kernel, a little glimpse of a Joker in the background, watching, waiting, biding his time until the inevitable moment when he will stand in front of Batman and reveal himself to Gotham. And again, this Joker, like the other characters of the Rogues Gallery, is vastly different than anything we've seen before. And I found this take on the Joker to be fascinating and chilling and possibly more terrifying than a Joker we've ever seen before. I don't want to get too far down into it because I want to save it for you guys, because I'm hoping you'll watch this show. I'm hoping you'll give it a chance, because by the time you get to episodes 9 and 10 of this season, you're either in or you're out on this new Joker, who is, I think, legit terrifying. And I love the show. I think it's fantastic. I think it's well executed. I think it's well done. I love the new takes on the supporting cast. I love the new take on the Rogues Gallery. Not all of them I agree with, but the way it builds towards this Batman versus this Joker, excellent. So well done. It's 9 buckets, easy. It might even be 9.5. Love this season of Batman: The Caped Crusader. It's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. X-Men 97 is on Disney Plus. Check that out. And of course, Star Wars: The Ninth Jedi is on Disney Plus as well. So check that out. All right, Bucketheads, I got nothing left for you. So go out there, be great Star Wars fans, kind, supportive, respectful, understanding, patient, tolerant, and awesome. Hit me up on those socials at Mando_Vision on X and Insta, MandoVision at Blue Sky. And of course, you can email me, MandoVisionTom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. And if possible or so inclined, sweet 5-star reviews. So insanely helpful for a small independent show like us. We truly appreciate everyone who takes the time to do that. And once again, this is the MandoVision podcast. I am your host, Nargai Tom. And we will be back next week. We have another episode of Star Wars Droids to watch. And I'm gonna try and go into that one happy, guys. I'm gonna try and get real happy first before we watch that one. We may have to have a cocktail before we watch that one, because we want to be in a better state of mind than we were for last week. But don't worry, guys. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it. The end is in sight for that series, and I'm delighted to be your lab rat, your guinea pig, to rewatch that show. All right, Bucketheads. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. And remember, this podcast can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Admiral, we have enemy ships in Sector 47.
It's a trap!